What an amazing day to be talking about the future. The 75th year has come and gone, and now we are already looking at the 100th year. The kind of problems and issues that we face are pretty stark and in many ways insurmountable. And if we think of it, most of it is our own doing. It is how we have created. I feel that since the past 10,000 years, we have spent a whole lot of time creating and generating devices that aid us in convenience. And we will have to very gladly and wholeheartedly sacrifice convenience at some point because there is a threshold, and evolution cannot catch up to how fast with our technology and devices we are creating more and more convenience for us. But if you think of it, it's not our fault because our brain likes convenience. It doesn't like to do a whole lot of work. If you understand how the brain works, it creates these pathways. It adopts certain ways that it can do its processing very, very fast. And these can be referred to as heuristics or mental shortcuts. And we all have these mental shortcuts, and they help us recognize certain things and do the processing faster. And these mental shortcuts have been so deeply conditioned in our brains that to move further, we will have to go ahead and break them. And that is where the role of creativity comes. To break the mental conditioning is not easy, but it's not impossible. There is one transformative force that exists within all of us, and that is creativity. Creativity is extremely powerful, and creativity is the drive and the ability to make something new or to connect the seemingly unconnected. And not just like that, but in significant ways. Significant is a very, very powerful term. So creativity is the drive and the ability to make something new or to connect the seemingly unconnected in significant ways so as to enrich our understanding of ourselves, our communities, the world, and the universe that we inhabit. So creativity is what I refer to as a phoenix force. It can transform, it can change, it can break, it can burn, and still it can continue to reinvent and give ourselves a rebirth. So a lot of problems that we are facing, the solutions of the previous century or even the current century are not going to help us. We will have to go outside the box and even beyond the box. So ideas is the main currency. Entrepreneurs, greenpreneurs, your decision making is one of the most difficult decision making. It's a combination of strategy and cognition. And these are very complex things. We have very limited time, so I'm not going to go too much deep into it, but I'm going to give you a little bit sprinkling and understanding of how creativity and why creativity is important, because creativity can break through certain mental barriers. It's a skill. It can be enhanced. It can be worked upon. We can do better with it. And creativity allows us to break these mental barriers. If the lack of creativity, as is being stated, is the problem, that we are doing some of the same things over and over again, then we need to instill creativity within us. Creativity enhancement should be the motto. Now, there is not one greenpreneur, one head of a business, or one person in HR who doesn't want an individual that is creative. You know, everybody wants their employees to have certain types of skill set, and creativity ranks extremely highly amongst it. But then in my experience, when I ask that, what have you as an individual, as a company, as an organization, as a school, as a university, what have you done to enhance this creativity? The answer is usually no. And we all go through standardized funneling system. The first one being parenting. We are all parented. Everyone all across the globe, the parents pretty much say the same thing. So that's where we get standardized. And then we go into another standardized funneling system, which is that of schooling and education. And that's where we are trained to think in certain ways, and some of the other alternate and lateral ways of thinking are discouraged. So between these two standardized funneling system, all human beings, we pretty much become same, or to a varying degree carbon copies of each other. And we are quite similar, but then we still have this brain, which is a fantastic asset that we have. And somehow, through our conditioning and through our laziness and our fetish for convenience, we have not utilized to its potential or fullest extent. This is where creativity comes and plays a role, because it breaks the traditional norms, it breaks the conventions, it breaks the existing neural pathways that are in our head, in our brain. It allows us, it makes sacrifice easy. And the work that most of you, I've been listening to the session since the 13th, and some phenomenal work you've been doing, you are being able to do because you've sacrificed convenience at certain level. And for this, deep down, there is this drive which has helped you. And this drive, this breaking down of the norms and standing aside, is partly through defying the zeitgeist, defying your own self. And this very trait, this very ability falls under the larger framework of creativity. I'm also going to introduce another variable over here, and that is the locus of control. Locus of control refers to one's belief in his or her or their abilities to control the events happening in one's life. I'm going to repeat that. Locus of control refers to one's belief in his or her or their abilities to control the events happening in one's life. Locus of control, I talk about it because it has been a strong predictor of pro-environment, pro-green behavior in marketing and environment psychology literature. It has been established that internal locus of control, it allows people to engage in more environment-friendly and green products. It is generally believed that people with an internal locus of control exhibit a positive attitude towards green products, as they believe that their own actions are a major determinant of the environmental well-being. But on the other hand, those with an external locus of control demonstrate a learned helplessness, as they believe that their purchase, their participation will not make any significant green or environmental changes, and opine that it is the responsibility of either the other people, the government, or corporations. So we have to apply, we have to employ creativity, creative techniques, creative communications to make sure that we help people to move away from this external locus of control and towards internal locus of control, where they believe that their actions are, and their actions, their purchase, their participations are making a fruitful contribution in making things and helping them going the right way. Talking about the right way, I was thinking earlier about this talk that so far we have worked in a linear fashion. We have continued to go in a linear fashion, and this is where we have ended. But now going further, if we really care for our planet, if we really care for the people, then we'll have to stop proceeding singularly in the linear fashion. The journey of greenpreneurs, the journey of green warriors, the journey of making sustainability a part of our life is a two-way street. We will have to unlearn, we'll have to break down, and we'll have to go back to so many things that made sense then and make sense now. And at the same time, we will have to keep going further and forward and bring in new things, invent new ways to make sure that we are becoming more and more green and sustainable. I deal and I work in the area of ideas. I help people come up with ideas. I help startups come up with ideas, how to come up with different ways of thinking, how to process, how to come up with solutions that currently exist but are not available to you because we are using some of the traditional techniques. And one of the creative thinking techniques that I use to help other individuals is creative aerobics. And creative aerobics is a very simple, it's a fun, it's a radical 21st century, very apt for all the greenpreneurs that are out there and listening to this. So this is an open call. Please make use of creative aerobics. If not, I'm here to help. So please feel free to reach out to me, and I will facilitate. I am a domain agnostic person. I don't claim expertise in any one domain. What I claim expertise is in the ability to make people think creatively, think differently, think outside of the box, and help them go even beyond the horizons of imagination. So with creative aerobics, it is possible to go in the, the olden times where certain things were sustainable, they were making sense, and to go forward. So it's a split journey, and we have to all make it together. The one last thing, and respecting time, I will end my talk over here, is that there is a price for everything. And the concept of no harm done, as is discussed by a whole lot of economists and different people, is a very complex one. So there is always going to be a trade-off. But who or what are we considering while making the trade-off is a very important thing. And we can only talk a trade-off based on things that we know. There are so many variables that are unknown, and creativity allows to bring many of those variables that are unknown yet, because they exist, but they are not available in the existing movement and vibrations of knowledge. You can bring them in and account for them and make much more systematic and strategic decisions. Entrepreneurial, greenpreneurial individuals, they make some of the most complex and risky decisions because there is never all the information that is needed to make the decisions is never available. And I salute those individuals, and I've written about them as to how the role of fear and creativity and their intermingling works in the decision-making process. But I salute to all the greenpreneurs and entrepreneurs who make these decisions on an everyday basis. And every time they do that, they pay a price. And this is for all of us. I spoke of convenience and I spoke of sacrifice. And this is for all of us, that the price that we have to pay for a new life, for a sustainable life, for a green life, is our old life, is our existing life. There is something in our existing life that is not working towards making our future sustainable. So if we are not willing to pay this price of our current and the old life, then our future is bleak. But hopefully with creativity and with the enablement and the empowerment that it brings to you, your willingness to pay the price and participate in the new life and developing that strong internal locus of control is going to increase. So once again, thank you so much for having me. I really value this time and the opportunity to share some of my ideas. I hope that all your actions are always inspired by creativity. So thank you. Thank you, Praveen.